We're about to get our Hoyoshill status ripped away with this one, guys, because we coming out guns blazing. Let me tell you about this one. I'm just kidding. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe before we even talk about the content. Here's the deal. I have been glazing Zenless Zone Zero a lot recently, and I'm gonna be honest, rightfully so. I have still been having a ton of fun with that game. I think the recent update has been fantastic. They just recently had the new side quest that was just released for Miyabi, going into the new Pale Hollow, which has been like a ton of fun. Like, honestly, Zenless Zone Zero is cranking out some amazing content. The only problem is Zenless Zone Zero is developed by Hoyoverse, which just, I don't know. It's just really good at continuously ruining my trust. Honestly, they didn't have a lot to begin with. I just was very excited about Zenless Zone Zero. But recently, if you didn't know, there's been some more information that has been getting released about some of the contract issues that have been happening for Hoyo exclusive content creators. Now, I will say this is specifically taking place with some of the Japanese content creators that have been, official Hoyoverse creators. I haven't heard this about specific of any Western content creators that I'm aware of, or English speaking content creators. If there's something that I'm not aware of, let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to see it. The only thing that I know that has been impacting English-speaking content creators was the original contract that was leaked a while back about, the exclusivity in terms of what games you were playing. But that previous contract, if you recall, was about Zenless Zone Zero, and this situation is particularly pertaining to Genshin Impact. So there is a little bit of a difference here. And one thing we do know is, well, yes, they do go back to the same parent company. The development teams that are working behind each of these games and the teams or management teams behind them are different people. And I think it's pretty clear that we can see that based on how overall that they've been interacting with their player base, with the feedback that they've been taking and how they've been actioning on the game. We're seeing some stark contrast between the two different games. So I'm not going to try and lump everybody into one, but look, at the end of the day, this all still comes back to Hoyoverse. I can't say it's Hoyoverse Zenless or Hoyoverse Genshin. It's Hoyoverse at this point. But recently we've had more leaks and information come out where when somebody has become an official Hoyoverse creator, that they were specifically being asked and told that they couldn't play Wuthering Waves because they were supposed to be playing Genshin Impact. And that is awful. Ryuku's got this whole video breaking down this scandal for this Japanese content creator who did play Wuthering Waves live on stream, and then shortly after was basically chastised by their management team saying like, hey, yeah, don't do that. We're going to ask you not to play that game. You're an official creator for us, so don't be playing Wuthering Waves. There was originally some miscommunication where people thought it was their own management team, and so it was their management team being like, hey, don't rock the boat, don't cause some issues. But no, we've got more real clarification here. Thanks to Ryuku, who can actually speak Japanese. Did you know Ryuku lives in Japan? That's an inside joke most of you probably won't get. But no, we found out that their contacts from Hoyoverse were specifically telling them that they were not allowed to play Wuthering Waves as an official creator, which is awful. I think anybody who likes to watch content creators, who wants to trust at least some degree of content creators' opinions and their impressions on a game, should know and should have their content creators have the freedom to play whatever they want. You want to create as much honesty surrounding that as possible. One of the reasons people look to content creators who do play these games is because it feels more personal and like there's more of a connection of an honesty and opinion than going to a regular news outlet, than going to something like IGN. Like, there's a place for them, I guess, but like that's why a lot of people look at content creators and their opinions on these games. So if it turns out that behind the scenes they're getting these contracts and they're being strong-armed into positions where they're not even allowed to play these other games for this exclusivity, I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think that's good for players. I don't think that's good for viewers. I don't think that's good for content creators. And the fact that this was happening over in Japan, like basically explicitly at this point, fully confessed by this person, is awful. And it's terrible to see. And that's like a practice that I think should be universally condemned. I'm not going to go through and break down this entire video because look, it's a 38-minute video and Ryuku does a lot of time kind of like translating and going through and really bringing out the nuances in the Japanese language to really help, read the subtext of what's going on. So, again, huge shout out to him for bringing that forward. But one thing that we saw from this content creator is the second that they got in any kind of potential issue with Hoyoverse, they were immediately ejected and kicked to the curb without any kind of like notice or recourse or anything available to them. And this like treatment of content creators, like it sucks. It sucks to see, as somebody who, you know, is back and making content and excited about these games. It sucks to see that content creators are being handled and treated in this way. Like it feels like every single time that I'm starting to, you know, give some degree of trust or some degree of support to these developers because I'm excited about what's going on, it seems like the shoe always drops. It seems like there's always another reason to not trust them and be frustrated again. Later, Ryuku goes on to talk about this other content creator, Nagi, who's another official Hoyoverse creator, who is a friend of Numero, who's the original Japanese content creator we were talking about, and about how eventually they were able to help get them into an event where they could go and smooth over their relationship with the contacts at Hoyoverse after basically they had ghosted them for months. But even after this was done, and even after they were able to reestablish that relationship and they were able to be re-invited back into the program, they were still excluded. They were still never treated the same as the rest of their creators, because apparently the rest of the creators are golden boys who've never done anything wrong. And it's just, it kind of sucks to see that kind of like unequal treatment is what's been taking place. And look, I'm not naive. I'm not sitting here saying content creators deserve all the stuff from these companies. They should expect the most pristine treatment ever all the time. No. I think that's an unrealistic expectation to be setting in these circumstances. At the end of the day, you're talking about two businesses, because content creators are businesses too, especially if they're, you know, pulling in lots of views and lots of money. You're talking about two businesses trying to come into an equal arrangement where it's beneficial for both parties. Like, so you always got to be able to navigate that. But when I see how Hoyoverse has been treating them in this case, and I look at other companies like Digital Extremes and the way that they engage with their community and their transparency and their ability to communicate, it just seems like night and day to me. And so I want to say this as like a push for what I want to see from the industry. What I want to see from the industry is more transparency from developers, more honest communication with their creators, and so they can have honest feedback from the community as a whole for the direction of these games. That's, at the end of the day, all I'm really looking to see. And so just seeing in interactions like this, seeing responses like this is just what really puts a damper on my enjoyment of it. I feel like sometimes it might be more enjoyable to play some of these games and not even go into the content creation space, because it makes you more annoyed with the developers at sometimes, and maybe just the people who sit there and play the game and don't look too hard into it are the people who are getting the most enjoyment out of it. Maybe that's the case. Let me know in the comments down below, although it's gonna be a biased sample because I guess you're watching this video if you do leave something about it. But that's all it is for me. And look, I'm not saying this is not a boycott situation here. I'm not trying to boycott anything here. I gotta be honest, I still like ZZZ. I'm still gonna play ZZZ. They keep making it a better game, and I'm really excited to see what the future for it is. But it really does suck to see some of those issues that those other content creators have been happening. But that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.